Hi there and welcome to another shave. Today I'm doing a test shave on this Filarmonica Double Temple, but it's really not a Filarmonica Double Temple. Since honing this, I've learned that it was made in Pakistan using the Filarmonica name. So this is Pakistani steel, not Spanish steel. And the honing was a very interesting experience. I did 2 videos on that. But today, the goal is to see how this shaves, and so we're going to get to that. I'm once again going to be using Sean Stapelfeld's batch number 8 because I like it. So let's get going. I kind of feel it's a pretty large misrepresentation to use the name Filarmonica and not have the razor made in Spain. In fact, this razor does not have a designation of where it's made, which only a Gen 1, the Gen 1 Filarmonicas don't have that, but that's because that practice wasn't typical back then. The Generation 2 Filarmonicas have it, as do the Generation 3s. This one's a Generation 4, but as I said, to me, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to call it a Filarmonica. I would love to. This was purchased at Griffiths, and I like Griffiths. I have a lot of respect for them. I think they're doing great things in the shaving community, especially the straight razor shaving. So I'd love to hear their thoughts on why they chose to carry this. They obviously know the history of the Filarmonica. They've handled and sold many of them. And it could be that all of the information that I have learned was is on their site. I haven't checked. But still, in the knife community, which I've been a knife person pretty much since I was a kid, because my father told me to always carry a knife. And you don't, in my era, you basically just did what you were told. Using a Chisel and Hound Fanchurian badger brush. Anyway, in the knife community, Pakistani steel does not have tremendous reputation over here for quality. It has a great reputation for low cost. And in general, you get what you pay for. Now in the world of knife guys, we kind of obsess over everything, and as we do in the world of razors. So steel quality is definitely a thing in both communities. All right, very high shaving angle, very high bevel angle, so I'm using my newfound technique of landing softly and making micro adjustments to the shaving angle. And this requires some experience of knowing the feeling of when the apex is cutting and when it's not. I am not buffing. I am using my experience as a straight razor shaver with other razors to find that angle that cuts. And with a high bevel angle, that's a narrow window. If you're too low, you're not cutting well. If you're too high, it feels kind of harsh. I can't get away with improper angles the way I can with other razors that have less, you know, a more normal bevel angle, a narrower bevel. So far, comfort is there. Being that I now know what this steel is, I'm going to have to go inspect it after the shave. See what's happened to the edge. I was able to get a very sharp J-nut edge on this razor, and it feels like a J-nut edge. And that feeling is one of softness. So when this comes down and lands, you're not feeling a harsh edge. So I've been shaving with a lot of really nice razors that have very low bevel angles recently. And so I can tell you that the first pass here was not as close as I would get, as I have been getting. But I've been shaving with terrific edges from No Name Bear and these Tory razors, which have a excellent grind. So, you know, almost ideal geometry for the type of razor. This is not that razor, so you're not going to get that, you know, you're not going to get a 5/8 or 6/8 16-degree bevel shave from a razor with a 20-degree bevel and a less delicate grind. I mean, this razor does not get very thin as the grind moves towards the edge, whereas those Tory razors do. But a part of this technique is to sort of sneak up on closeness. I don't typically have a memorable first pass using this technique, but I was comfortable. It did remove hair, and as is happening with this pass. So at the end of my typical 2-pass test shave, I certainly will have less facial hair, and it will have been comfortable, so that's good, and it will hopefully be within the range that I would still call an excellent shave. It's just one that you can't tell from the first pass. As I said, I'm sneaking up on it here. Another thing about this technique is that you get, I get more accustomed to how to manipulate the razor the more I use it. You know, I kind of muscle memory. Once I've learned sort of the proper handling of the angle, muscle memory starts to kick in. Okay. Not bad. Not absolutely perfect, but not bad. I could absolutely a third pass would put that into stronger BBS. I'm just BBS minus at the moment, which is fine given the limitations. Now the real unfortunate thing, as I started out with here, is that this razor, in my opinion, should not bear the Filarmonica name. I have a Filarmonica 12, which is 5/8, a Filarmonica 13, 6/8, and two Filarmonica 14s. Not bad, not great. Two Filarmonica 14s. And they are marvelous. They are amazing. Handling is terrific. The steel takes an amazing edge. I mean, just nothing like this razor. Doing a little slicing across the beard hair, low angle. Actually, over here I raised the angle a little bit, but that's a little bit of a illusion because I have my neck goes in there. Okay, comfort is excellent. Let's do another feel of the neck. Yeah, that improved things a little. Not great. I would say I'm not going to rate this as an excellent shave, but I'll rate it as a very good one. I haven't talked about Sean's soap, but I did that in the last video. It hasn't changed. It's great. Again, I'm very appreciative to Sean for sending it over, letting me try it. And he's given me a lot of it, and I'm using it. This is my third, I think this is my third use of it. I just put on Thayers Cucumber. And I'm going to clean up. I'll be back to do my normal wrap up. Okay. Everything's cleaned up. Let me show you the brush. As I mentioned, this is a Chisel and Hound Fanchurian knot. This one he calls the Classic. Here, I'll show you the handle a little better. As you know, I'm a big fan of Chisel and Hound brushes. I have another one on the way because I need more brushes, clearly. I'm using, for today's aftershave, I'm using Olympus. This has a similar feel, not different, completely different notes, but a similar feel to Sean's, that complements Sean's scent. Kind of a very Italian scent. Or Mediterranean scent, maybe might be a better term. Light, citrusy, a little bit of a woody base. Very nice. And I have the EDT, which I'm going to use. It's a morning shave. So we're going to be all day. We want to get whiffs of this all day. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for being with me. Again, I think it's a shame to call this razor a Filarmonica. If you've ever shaved with the real deal, this one is nothing close. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.